like I remember when Kendrick had been quiet for a minute and he dropped, I love myself. And it was like, yo, what a refreshing sound. Like, this is new, this is exciting. Huh?
I said, but.
Some people didn't respond well to it.
A lot of people.
You know what I'm saying? But it was still the fact that it was like, yo, I'm out here coming out with a different sound. Some of that's about what this record is too. I'm like, it's just kind of like a bouncy trap, cool thing.
You don't feel it's innovative enough.
I don't feel like it's, I at my core love innovation. I love pushing, I love challenging, so to make a song like that, you know, I made it in 30 minutes and it's cool. But like, I value innovation so much that I think it harms me in a lot of ways because I think I upset a lot of producers that I work with where I try to push them, where I make it difficult to work with them.
Never have.
There's people watching this joint right now that are like, that's right.
Yes, because I'm always pushing and I think some people don't want to go that distance with me.
Right.
They want an easier working process. I had a text message conversation with a producer today. I texted him and I said, yo, you killed this joint that just came out. And he was like, yeah, man, thanks. And then he was like, I was like, yo, why don't you send me some of that heat? And he was like, nah, yo, you're too picky.
Woo!
And I was like, too picky? Woo! I was like, from what I heard, this joint had 9-10 revisions. So what are you talking about?
Nah, it's...
So then I'm going...
You know what he's talking about?
Yeah. Oh, you know exactly what I'm talking about. So I'm like... Did
did you like kind of go back and forth with the dude like 10 times?
He did a lot to get it to where it came. But I mean, it was
But maybe it was the way that, you know, because he's the silent killer, you know, smack you in the face with a white glove on. Maybe it was, do you think it was maybe the way that you went about it?
Potentially, it's so nuanced to say yes. But I feel like I understand where a creative is, where it's like, hey, nice track, do this again, try that.
Yeah.
But like, the 10th time,
it
can feel like, yo, what do you want, or what do you want
just
from me?
produce this yourself.
I don't
bro.
know, like, and so I definitely, I've been there before, where it's like a lot of revisions. So I try to be delicate in that regard.
Yes,
but on the other side, there are special creatives, the ones that we admire and aspire to be, and that do kind of push it that hard. Like Ye pushes it really hard.
Yes.
Andy pushes it really hard.
And here's the thing, I'm not Ye, so people don't treat me that way.
Sure.
Well, I feel like I could create at a Kanye level. That's how much I believe in myself. Now, I'm not out here,
That's good, man.
I'm not out here trying to toot my own horn.
Right.
What I'm saying is, you know, that man.
And when you say Kanye level, you just mean at an elite level.
At an elite level.
Yeah.
Yeah, like with the best of them.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Kanye also made his first album with a couple $1 million behind him to make that record. Mm-hmm. So that's a different conversation. So when I come in a room, I'm not able to do this stuff Kanye does. Like, yo, make me 15 versions of this. You try that, you try this.
You're not going to change people's lives at the magnitude that he can.
Absolutely. And so people aren't going to work the same way. And I say it sometimes joking around, be like, but if Kanye asked you to do this, would you? And people would be like, yes, absolutely. But if I ask you to do it and you're not Kanye, and I'm like, all right, bet. And so that's some of the tension that I live in is like, I don't want to upset the other producers, the people I'm creating with.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, I still desire innovation and creativity and to push things, you know, to have its own flair. And there's some creatives who just don't get that unique thing. They don't see the value of it. They're like, why can't I just make the exact same beat that Migos just made? I was like, because they just did it. That's why you don't make the joint they did. And they're like, what's wrong with that? I was like, you don't care that you're not gonna sound different? You don't care that you're not gonna have your own thing? You don't care that you're just gonna look like a biter? You don't care? And I'm like visceral. I'm like angry about it.
Sure, I
like,
get it.
How does this happen? Where uniqueness is not a thing. I don't know. I could get into a lot of trouble in this conversation.
No, this is a great...
But I think what you're saying more, right? Because that's a slippery slope. You're 1,000% right. Like, I'm unique. I'm like, they could just be that loaded. Yes. I think really what you're talking about when you strip it of like stuff like that is, yo, you don't want to exercise your full potential, not for the purpose of being different and better than everyone, but just purely for the purpose of pushing yourself as far as you can and honing your craft to the highest of your potential. Because I think it's really unhealthy to be looking at what everyone's doing and not only to try to match it, but equally to try to be better. Like, bro, you don't want to play that game. What you do want to do is look in the mirror and just see how far you can push yourself and treat it like golf, where golf, you're really just competing against yourself, man. And I think where that anger comes from is your passion and respect for honing the technical aspect of your craft and how you want to encourage others to do the same thing, purely for the purpose of like stewarding and being faithful to their talents and being like, yo, man, you need to like, the way that you respect and the way that you respect and show your God-given gifts the proper value is to take care of them and develop them to their fullest potential for the purpose of blessing others through it. You know what I mean? And for the purpose of just doing excellent work, because excellence is a good thing. Not being better than everyone, not trying to be different from other people, because at the end of the day, no idea is original. There's nothing new under the sun.
I remember on my first project, Heroes for Sale, I was so excited about releasing that project in a lot of ways because there were certain things I was doing on certain songs that got me very hyped. So the opening record, I'm taking, like, and I could look at you dead in the face and be like, I'm so hyped to show you this because I know you've never heard this before. That's the stuff that gets me like, woo! You're about to hear a ancient hymn by this girl with a creepy voice sung over a string section with this like menacing synth underneath it. And it was gonna go into a rewinding sound of me rapping over a string quartet to start the album. And then it's gonna drop into this break beat. And I was like, that's fire. And I know you're not hearing that. And I was like, that was for me like, yo, I can't wait to show this. Or when I did Where the Wild Things Are, and I was like, yo, I'm gonna take one of my favorite trap producers, Ty Shane, and I'm gonna mix him with Under Oath, and I'm gonna make a metal trap mashup. I wanna go where the wild things are. And I'm like, yo, this is wild. Right? And I'm like, that's the stuff that got me so excited. I was pushing creative boundaries and limits, and I know y'all ain't heard this before. That got me excited.
Gotcha.
Now, what ends up happening is innovation is the child of failure.
That's good.
Innovation comes from people taking risks and failing a lot and finding out what doesn't work, but having enough courage to take the risk in the first place so that you could stumble upon something great. And I think people are more concerned about winning and looking cool and blending in with everybody else that they're not willing to have the courage to try something else that could fail. Because if you fail and you get laughed at, everyone's like, ha ha, you're not just doing what everyone else is doing, which I think is absurd. How could you laugh at somebody for trying to do something different?
Right.
This is what bugs me out about people who be like, yo, you rap about God, you talk about like all this positive. I'm like, I'm corny? When I listen to their records and I'm like, you're just saying the same thing that every rapper said for the last 30 years, but I'm corny for actually having a stance and a position on something and saying something that's contrary to what the popular opinion is, but I'm lame. You're bugging. And so that's the thing that,
Love
you know
it.
what I'm saying? Like I'm always this is the thing, so as a Christian, I'm a Christian. And one of the things that's always attracted me to Jesus and why I've become a Jesus follower is your man is always dropping the wild plot twist. Like listen, hold up. The moment that you think something's going this way, Jesus like off the top turnbuckle, like surprise, I'm back, like out the whole other direction. You go, oh, when someone slaps you in the face, what do? Now growing up, if I heard a parent, Mom, somebody slapped me in the face. Boy, you better hit them back and let them know that they can't touch you. That's what I always heard growing up. But Jesus goes, turn the other cheek and give them your other side. And you're like, what? Plot twist? Isn't the plot twist the greatest part of the movie? When you're like, oh, like you remember watching Inception, you remember watching the Leonardo DiCaprio joint. What's the joint I'm talking? Departed. Like the plot twists in the movie are the things that excite you, and Jesus is always doing that.
Right.
You know, he's like, yo, he's getting crucified, and he could call down legions of angels to come take him off the cross, and he goes, nah, Father, forgive them. They don't know what they're doing. You're like, what? How? So I get so excited by the plot twist. I get so excited by someone being like coming out the cut. That's why a lot of my records, if you pay attention, they have these really abrupt changes.
On there.
Or like on there. If you're listening to Kids, I break into like a hymnal, like in the middle of this like menacing trap beat. All praise to the Father, right? I love that stuff.